today we're making the Sichuanese Mapo Tofu, aka Mapo Tofu. It is one of the most beloved Sichuanese recipes worldwide, and it can turn a simple bowl of rice into a delicious food feast. But first thing first, before we get started with the recipe, just smash the like button. And if you love Mapo Tofu and all sorts of Chinese recipes, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, because when we reach 1K followers, we're gonna be throwing a huge massive party with our community by getting everyone together so you can meet with each other, and you're gonna have a special Q&A session where you can ask us, all of us in our team, any sort of questions that you might like. So let's get started with the recipe. We started with some basic aromatics, green onions, garlic, and of course the ginger. These are the basic aromatics that you'll find in many of the Chinese food dishes preparations. The original recipe does not involve any use of the celery, which I use instead of a spring onion topping at the very end of the dish. A very important skill to learn while making Mapo Tofu is preparing the starchy slurry, which the original recipe wants us to add that into the final stages of the cooking. But it's gonna be divided in 3 times. When we talk about Mapo Tofu, we're talking about Sichuan province, and in particular of Chengdu, which is one of the most dynamic cities in China with a long history. And when you talk about these places, Sichuan, Sichuanese cuisine, Chengdu, you're definitely gonna be talking about 2 ingredients. Fermented soybeans on one side and doubanjiang on the other side. These 2 seasonings are incredible sources of umami, and they're gonna add the extra flavor to your dishes. For the fermented soybeans, we soak them into warm water to bring the moisture back. After a few minutes, we remove them from the water and added them into the doubanjiang, which of course you know what that means, right? You don't know what that means? Okay, well, I'll explain it to you. Doubanjiang is basically fermented broad bean chili paste, and that is telling you a lot about its ingredients. Broad bean chili, it's a paste. We chopped everything together to obtain a nice smooth paste. I then added some vegetable oil into the wok, and I started with the preparation of another great ingredient, 刀口辣椒, literally chili on cleaver, as this ingredient is meant to be prepared with knives, with cleavers, by roasting and then cutting peppercorns with dry chilies, all together. So add the peppercorns and the chilies into the wok. I say make sure you don't get them burned. I'm warning you, once you've roasted them, take them out, remove the excess oil, and start with the crushing. And of course the traditional crushing was actually made with cleavers, and that was cutting more than crushing. But I went for the easier way. I just used a rolling pin, and that didn't work. No, didn't work. So I went for a mortar, and yeah, it worked. Time to introduce the tofu, because it's Mapo Tofu at the end of the day, so we're gonna be using tofu. You're smart. Yeah, you're good. No, you're good. You're good. Here you can either go for the classic soft tofu, or you could even choose some firm tofu. Old tofu, 老豆腐, which is actually meaning firm tofu. And in this case, we chose the firm tofu because, yeah, why did we choose the firm tofu and not the soft tofu? Yeah, we chose the firm tofu. Soft tofu, firm tofu, you know what? We'll make another video and we're just gonna be talking about tofu, all the varieties, recipes you can make with all the varieties of tofu, right? So if you like eating tofu, just press on that subscribe button. And you don't know what eating tofu in Chinese means, right? But if you don't know, just leave us a comment, we'll explain that to you. I cut the tofu in 2 cubes and quickly blanched it by placing it into a wok with cold water, then turning the heat and waiting for the water to boil. Remove the tofu from the pot once it starts boiling and place it into a bowl with cold water to stop the cooking process. At this point, you probably ask yourselves, who was the genius that really came up with this recipe? I mean, lots of ingredients, these techniques, who was the guy or the lady? So the name of the dish, Mapo Tofu. Okay, tofu, we know what that is, that's tofu. We can actually split Mapo in 2 characters, Mapo. Po is actually referring to a lady. So we know that behind the story there's a lady. There's always ladies behind great stories. You're good, ladies. So this lady's name was Chen, and we're talking about 1862, old times, guys, Imperial China during the Qing dynasty. Miss Chen was running a restaurant, and guess where? In Chengdu, with her husband by the Wanfu Bridge. And this place got quite famous because they started serving all the workers nearby, and they all liked the spicy tofu that Miss Chen was making. Lots of spices and beautiful flavors. That dish became so famous at the time, they even changed the name of the restaurants into Chen Mapo Tofu. Chen referring to the surname of the lady, Miss Chen, and Mapo Tofu because that was the core dish. But why not calling it Miss Chen's Tofu? The surname of the lady is Chen, why calling this dish Mapo Tofu? That's because Miss Chen used to have a pockmarked face, and the workers would just call her Mapo. That is why it is called Mapo Tofu. Back to the cooking. I cooked the minced pork inside the wok with some rapeseed oil. We then added the chili paste obtained by the fermented beans and the doubanjiang. Then our aromatics, the ginger, the green onions and the garlic. And the chilies of cleaver, 刀口辣椒. So now it's about mixing and seasoning. Some Shaoxing wine and soy sauce, both light and dark. I covered it with some water and brought it to a simmer. Not time for some sugar, please do add it because, yeah, it's important you do that. And some grounded Sichuan peppercorns if you like the extra tingling sensation to your tongue. For a darker color and richer flavor, you can also add an extra teaspoon of dark soy sauce in this stage. And then it was just time for tofu. Look at the colors here. I mean, I could really jump into the wok and just, be with it. I want to be with it. I am with it. The final part is gochen, which means thickening. And remember what we said at the beginning of the video, we're gonna do it in 3 times. The first time high heat, the second time medium heat, and the third time at low heat. And how do you know it's low heat? By turning off the heat. After mixing everything and thickening the sauce in 3 times, the job is done. And look at that. Look at that. Ooh. Remember the celery at the beginning? That's where we added it. At the very final stage of the preparation, just as a topping. And if you want to eat Sichuan food like a Sichuanese, like a pro, you're going to be adding some grounded Sichuan peppercorns on top. And trust me, it's going to make a huge difference. Woo! So incredible Mapo Tofu story, great dish. And do not forget to get your bowl of steamed rice for accompanying this dish because that's the way it should be eaten. And if you want to see more recipes, you want to see me making whatever other Chinese food you prefer, just leave us some comments. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and do like us with that button by turning it into whatever color that is. My name is Luca from Chinese Taste of China 2.0. We'll see you in the next video.